Welcome to the Notespire Music Artist Insight Podcast, giving you a unique insight into the music and ministries of independent Christian artists. Here's your host, Paul Gibbs.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to another edition of the Notespire Music Artist Insight. I have got the pleasure today. She's right here in Pennsylvania, right where I'm sitting. It's a big state, so she's not next door, but she's not too far away. She's in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, and she has got a lot of stuff to share with us. Her name is Laura Williams, and she is joining me by Zoom. And Laura, how you doing?
Hello, I am doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
Great to have you. Great to have you. So Quakertown, probably not too many people have heard of Quakertown. I know that when we go from here from York to the I'm actually from upstate New York at the Glens Falls, New York area. And when we go up through there, we go up, sometimes we go 78, sometimes we take 81, sometimes we go 81 up to 84. So we see signs for Quakertown on one of those roads. Where's Quakertown near? What major city would people know?
Yeah, so it's Bucks County, so some people know that, but It's like 15 minutes away from Allentown and then an hour outside of Philly. So it's in that area, kind of near New Hope. So yeah.
Yep. So Allentown people would certainly know. Yeah. So Allentown, let's see, 80. No, is it 78, Route 78 that goes past Allentown, or is it 81?
Oh my goodness. That's questions.
That's okay. Don't feel bad. I've been driving it for 10 years and I can't remember. So, okay.
I'm so directionally challenged.
Okay. Okay, I know some of our listeners and viewers are giggling and laughing because their hands are going up too, Laura. No problem. No problem. They know where you're coming from. Well, actually they don't because they're directionally challenged too.
Not quite.
Anyway. But you did know. No, we won't get there yet. I'll tell you. We're just having a blast here, guys. I hope you're gonna enjoy. Both of us I've had my coffee. Laura, how about you?
I have right here my Dunkin'.
All right. Okay. There you go. All right. So we're fueled and ready for this. I want to go back. Where did it start for you? Music, sometimes for some of us, it starts later in life. And that relates to you as well. I know you're younger, but did it start way back when you were just, could you sing before you could talk, or did it come about later on?
No, yeah. I mean, singing, I always say this, singing has been as innate to me as eating, sleeping, breathing. Like, it was just kind of always
cool.
I have 4 siblings and my parents, and we're all super close. And it was just like, yeah, Laura's always singing. Like, I sang a Carrie Underwood song in my kindergarten talent show. So it's been a long time. My whole life, it's always been like something that I knew was just like a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be me without it. I started pursuing it as a career actually when I graduated high school because, in high school I thought I was going to go to college. I was going to be a science major. Really crazy difference, really crazy change. But God was like, nope, that's not what you're going to do, because I always wanted to pursue music and I always wanted to be a singer. Like, I felt it in my bones. I remember so often being like, God, like, how can this not be your plan for me? And then in my senior year, like after 8 months of grappling about what to do for college, nothing felt right. He placed the opportunity of a lifetime in my lap to pursue music full time. It was like a crazy overnight thing too. I was like praying on my roof. I was like, God, just put my music career in your hands, whether it's what I want or not. Like, it wasn't, I thought there was no way, like it had to be me. And then literally that night I got reached out to by an agency that was like the real deal. And like,
really
started talking with them, and I was like, wow, like this is the plan for me. And it was so funny because they were like, you can do any genre you want, but we do see you as a Christian artist. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, out of all the agencies that could find me, like just through social media, literally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And so then I kind of took the summer after high school to like think and pray, because I loved pop music. I loved writing pop music. Since I was 14 on my little ukulele, I was writing, love songwriting. It's like my baby. And so I was like, oh, I don't know, like maybe I should be a Christian artist, but I love pop music. And I kind of realized God's plan for me was better than anything I thought that I wanted. And I wanted to show people who Jesus is with my life and my career. And I thought, what better way to do that than committing to the Christian genre? So even though I wasn't 100% sure what it was going to look like, I was like, all right, God, I'm taking this leap of faith and I'm going to do this. And now fast forward, like I'm so glad that I did because yeah. And I'll save some for later in the interview, but yeah, that's my short answer.
Okay, so basically the answer is you had started, and you are, you're one of those, and you've started right out early. Some musicians I have found they can do it or not do it. It really doesn't matter. The level of talent and the level of commitment to it don't always come out the same.
Yeah,
I've known musicians that again they'll do it sometimes, and then if they don't do it, oh, no big deal. They get a chance to do it, okay. But there are others that, like you, like me, that can't not do it.
Yeah,
it's just a part of who we are. Yeah. That is awesome, and I know that's encouragement too, and that's what we want to be here, guys. As you're listening and watching this, we want to be an encouragement and learning here. You're going to learn something from this interview from Laura, all that she's been through and her plans and how God has been leading her. But we want to be an encouragement, and maybe you'll get some insight how to maybe what God wants you to do. What, Laura? It's about surrender, right? I'm thinking you said you love pop music, but you could have gone that genre.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like rowing the boat with one oar. It's like you're never really. I don't know what the word is, but maybe you can fill in the word there.
Yeah, I know like exactly what you're trying to say. Like it almost feels like purposeless. Like I don't know, it just feels like there's no like it's a difficult and it's a thin line to trek, and like that's why I think the Christian genre though right now, especially in 2025, is becoming so diverse, and people are doing and experimenting more now than ever, and you can bring so many elements of pop music, of secular music into the Christian genre right now because it's becoming like it's exploding into diversity, really. So.
Interesting that you say that, because for quite a few years now, people are saying, "Oh, Christian music is all the same. Every song's the same. Got to have this and this and this, but don't do this and don't do that." But it's not. You're seeing it changing.
So what you're saying, 100%. Christian radio, I feel like it's still like that, and like even when I've gone into writing rooms, it's been like, and I've been like, oh, I want to write a song that we can play on the radio. It's sometimes it's like a collective sigh, like, oh, then we have to do it this way.
Yeah.
But I think it is changing. Like if you're listening to people like Josiah Queen, Forrest Frank, like people are becoming more vulnerable and different than ever, and those songs are blowing up thanks to social media. And then it's like these different types of music, they got to be played on radio because of how many people are loving them. Sometimes radios isn't even needed because of just the way that fan bases stream music, and
right.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely changing. I think that radio is still catching on to it, but I do think that there's a big like movement kind of happening in
okay, and maybe mainline Christian radio, they might fight it until they find that they have to keep their listeners. Yeah. Meanwhile, independent stations like Notespire Radio, we welcome it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So you've been doing, I guess what that answers all those questions. Now we come up to the big one that we kind of want to make sure people know about it. You were on The Voice as a contestant. You got a 4-chair turn. There are those viewing, Laura, that have no idea what we're talking about. So why don't you? And you got up to what, the battle round? Is
yeah.
That?
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, tell people what The Voice is, just for those who have maybe never even heard it, or they've heard of it but they don't know what it is, and then tell us how you ended up there.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I love this story. Um, so The Voice is a singing talent competition show, where you have four celebrity judges slash coaches, and they have these big red chairs and they face the audience, right? And the singer goes out on stage, and the coaches can't see the singer because they're faced away, right? And then you start singing, and if they like you and they like your, well, if they like your voice, because that's all they have to go off of, they hit their button and their chair spins around, and that means that you can be on their team. And then you go through the competition competing with other teams in a series of different rounds. So yeah, my coaches during my season were Niall Horan from One Direction, Reba McEntire, John Legend, and Gwen Stefani. So awesome, incredible lineup.
Oh yeah.
The story goes so I graduated high school in spring of 2022, then committed to Christian music in that fall, started singing 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. I picked up a job as a nanny to kind of pay for everything music related. And started posting on social media consistently, just building my artistry, doing the groundwork, right? And it was a lot of work and it was very tedious. And I actually became pretty depressed. Which is so funny because like sometimes we think like God's like, oh my gosh, my dream's coming true, but it doesn't always look like that at first. There are things that have to happen first before those next steps. And I remember just God, like I know this is your plan for me. Like, why do I feel this way? And it was just kind of like that example of surrender and like being obedient and just walking blindly in faith, even though I was struggling so much. And it was really cool to watch how God kind of placed the voice right in the midst of that struggle for me. And it was kind of like a revitalization. So 2022, really difficult. The year's ending. Everything I thought the next chapter of my life would look like for the past 18 years was suddenly different because I wasn't going to college anymore. I was, like I said, following my dreams, but it was a hard adjustment.
Yeah.
And then the last week of December, I am literally like brushing my teeth. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I haven't gone through my Instagram DMs in a while. Like, let me open my DMs. I'm brushing my teeth and I open my DMs and I see this DM and it's like, hey, Laura, like, I love your voice. We'd love to have you on The Voice this season. Like, so casual. I
Whoa.
literally, and I thought it was fake. I looked at the profile. It was like, no, it was like an NBC producer. I was like, oh, I literally freaked out. I screamed. I ran into my parents' room. I was like, I just got asked to be on The Voice. And they're like, no way. Like, and we're all screaming and freaking out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I got to compose myself. And honestly, the rest was history. I started talking with them. I did a series of interviews and audition tapes and all that stuff, a lot of paperwork. It's actually like it's crazy all that goes in behind the scenes. And yeah, and so 2023 became the year of The Voice, really. And from the moment I got the DM, though, it was like I knew this was God's plan. Like the peace of God was just so surrounding that. And there have been other opportunities in my career where it didn't feel like that, and things didn't end up working out. But with this, so God led. And I got the official phone call in March that I was flying out to LA to do the blind auditions. And then I flew out 19 by myself across the country to LA. And I met the most amazing people ever. Like, that's the best part of the whole experience. The people that other contestants, like, it's like a band camp type of vibe, like
really
LA. Like, it's so cool and it's so secretive because nobody can know. And it's like living Hannah Montana for real. And you're out there doing wardrobe, practicing your song, all the things. And then the blind auditions were in July, and it was actually like the day after my birthday that I went up.
I remember watching your and you said it was your birthday was yesterday.
Yeah. And so I went up there and I was like, all right, like it was crazy that I was so calm. Like, it was so God, because I am a anxious, nervous person, but it was just like you're backstage, you're hearing everybody go before you. It's like, it's definitely a mental struggle. And then like backstage and you hear next artist in 3, 2, 1, and then you walk out, everything's quiet. And I could see my parents off in the corner. They fly them in. And you go on stage, you hear your cue, and I remember thinking to myself, like, just get the first line down. Just get a really solid first line, and that will do the rest of the song. Sang the first line, and Gwen turned. And it was like, after that moment, I like was like, oh, like the relief washed over me. And then they all turned and it was insane. And, like you don't really think about talking to them afterwards. You just think about getting through your song. And so then
Yeah, right. Yeah.
talking to them,
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. And like, I didn't expect them all to turn. So now I had to choose. And it was like
Right.
crazy. And it was funny because Rebo was my first choice. But then when
Okay.
you get up there, everything changes. And like Niall and Gwen were fighting for me the most. And then Niall just kind of stole the show. He was like coming up on the stage. I was like, all right, I got to go team Niall.
Yeah.
Niall, and it was so cool. Yeah, and really the blinds are my favorite story. I did get out in the battle round, but it was really the hardest part about leaving was leaving the people. Like the competition is one
Okay.
like
Yeah.
you make lifelong best friends. Like I have friends now, like in Nashville. I plan to move to
Really?
Nashville in the next couple of years, and
Okay.
now like it's such a bonding experience because so few people experience it. So yeah, it was just the best time, and it really launched things for me. So yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk about that in a second. I want to know, how did you pick the song you were going to sing at the blinds?
Hmm. Yeah. So this song was it it was it's a ballad. My song was Fingers Crossed by Lauren Spencer Smith.
Right.
It was just really applicable to the things I was going through at that period of time in my life. And
Okay.
um it was just one of the options where I was like, I think, this is definitely in my top couple of songs that I would like to sing. And it just ended up fitting my voice super well. And I kind of
Hmm.
cool because you get to rearrange you like the arrangement and you get to kind of choose what to bring
Okay.
in there because you only get 90 seconds for the blind audition.
Right. Right.
So I took some of the second verse and brought it into the first verse to kind of make a really cool build right before the chorus and just show off my range in every way because it had a really good low range, really good belty, higher range.
Right.
And
Yep.
the
Yep.
girl who sings that song, her voice is very similar to mine.
Mm.
Um, and it's just like a really awesome powerhouse ballad that like
Yeah.
it's so good. And
Well,
I
you
love
did
it. So it was awesome.
a great job on it. So I was wondering if you, I assumed, I guess most people assume that you picked the song that you're going to do, but then you had to work, of course, with the band members, right, to get the everything down, get the right key, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. And did they you kind of did the arrangement, you made up the arrangement, you said what you want, but then I'm sure they had to tweak it a little bit, right?
So, oh my goodness, the band is like incredible. Like they're like
Yeah.
world class. You
Yeah.
go in there, they are expecting you to take the reins and like say what you want to do. But,
Okay.
they've been doing this forever. So it's like they kind of
Yep.
give you advice on what they think will be best and we kind of work together. So in the original song, there is no like build up when like one thing that
Mm,
you lost. That's not in the original song. But I
mm,
wanted to bring that part of the song into the first verse,
right.
second verse. And they came up with that build. I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Like let's add.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like a collaboration.
Yeah.
And then they get on their instruments and they do the thing. So it's just really
Mhm. Oh, that's I wish that I would love to be a fly on the wall. I don't know if I'd like to
yeah.
be yeah, but this just to see that. So let's go from there and well, you did answer another question that I was going to ask, and maybe other people would like to know. I mean, for something like The Voice or AGT, do you have to well, I'm going to say it's interesting that they reached out to you.
Mhm.
So one of my questions was being on The Voice a goal for you? And sounds like technically no, but God threw it in your lap.
Yeah. So it's interesting with these shows because like they can, I guess, technically reach out to you, but you still have to audition. Like it's not
Yes.
like, oh, you're on. Like I
Right, right.
so it's like they like kind of encourage you to audition and such. So yeah, it honestly, I mean, I grew up love like it was really American Idol for me that I really grew up on, and I remember
Mm.
like any of those singing TV shows. Okay, so when I was 11, I remember or I was 9, I asked my mom like, "Can I go on America's Got Talent?" And like, "When you're 11, we could sign up." And like I was like so excited to be 11, but then I never
Oh,
actually ended up signing
never
up for it.
happened.
And then like I would watch, of course I would watch The Voice, you know, I would
Yeah.
watch American Idol a lot with my family. And I remember like being like, oh, like I just wish I could do that. And like telling my mom, like, while we're watching, like, I wish that could be me. And she's like, one day it's gonna be you. Like just so
Wow.
sure. And then
Mm.
this happened and it was just like, wow, like it wasn't even on my radar. It at all. It really wasn't. But like I was like, why didn't I think of this sooner? Like, yeah,
Right.
it was just so awesome.
And I think this, and going forward, we're going to talk about this a little bit more as we go on here. But um, when you first saw that DM, that direct message to you about it, and then from that point to the point that you actually got on the stage for those blind auditions, um, what did you feel? How much of a feeling did you have that, oh, I hope I'm good enough, or did you ever have a think that I'm not good enough? When you first got that message when you're brushing your teeth, was there ever a thought you said, "Oh no, I'm not good enough for that"?
Honestly, I it, I'm trying to think. I feel like there may have been some times where I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure. Like, what if I don't get a chair turn?" But rarely. Like, it was so
Okay.
crazy. Like, God was just so evident in it that I was so sure of it.
Oh, okay, good. That good answer. I mean, that's good. I know, because I think there's some people that are listening right now. They're thinking, "Oh, I could never do that. I'm not good enough." They might, even if they got that message, they'd say, "Oh, no way."
Mhm.
But I asked that question because you're going back and you're telling us that you, even from an early age, you thought that I want to do that. So
Mhm.
that confidence was already in you. It just wasn't maybe quite developed yet. And I
Mhm.
love that you're saying that God put that there.
Yeah. No, yeah, and, like, don't get me wrong, I had terrible stage fright as
Uh-huh. Sure.
Um, when I was like 12 or 13, I did my first play. I literally could not sing hot. Like I was like so quiet. And then I had a
Mhm.
director in my first play like really take me under his wing and bring me out of my shell and like through tough love like kind of force the voice out of me. And that's
Yep.
when I realized like, oh wow, I do have a voice. And then like
Okay.
even when I was young, like wanting to be on these shows, there was a part of me that was like, I can't do that though. Like I would never be able to do that. And then like
Yeah.
the way that God kind of developed things and just made me so sure of it because he's just so much bigger than our doubts and what we think we can't do, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well said. Well said. So you had decided that you were going to head in the direction of Christian music.
Mhm.
Then The Voice comes along. Um, and I know that a lot of artists on The Voice and other shows have sung Christian songs. Praise God for that. What a platform. Um, so how does that tie in? How, for you personally, how does Christian music and secular music tie in together?
Mhm. So it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people think that it can either be secular or it can be Christian.
One or the other. Yeah,
So,
some people do.
and I just feel like that's such a disservice to
Mm,
music, which is the universal language. And,
yeah.
you
Okay.
know, I feel like there are secular songs that you could hear and be like, that could be applied in a Christian setting. There are Christian
Hmm.
songs that you hear and be like, that can be applied in a more secular setting. So
Right.
songs, music change people's lives. It touches people. It comforts people. It puts into words what people can't, verbalize. Um, and it's so important. So I don't think that we should put it in boxes so
Hmm. Okay.
much so. But for me, it's funny that you say that because nobody's really ever asked me that question. And after The Voice going into 2024, I was like, I want to do my first headlining concert. And so I found a local venue and I kind of put a band together and I had this idea. I was sitting in church one day and I was like, what do I want to call this concert series? Because I felt like I
Mm,
name and I wanted to do a combination of secular and Christian music
okay.
to highlight different themes of things that we go through in our lives. So one section was about, grief and loss. One section was about mental health. And so I combined Christian songs and secular songs to portray the feelings associated with those experiences.
I like it.
And I was sitting in church and I was like, what do I call this? And the word honestly just started ringing in my ears. And it was
Okay.
like, what? Like, why?
Hmm.
What? And it kind of dawned on me, like, when you're having a conversation with somebody, so often you go, hey, honestly, blah, 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 blah. Say
Yep.
something very, vulnerable and raw and kind of reveals a part of you. It's,
Mm.
a leap of faith with somebody. And so I titled the concert, honestly, a journey in faith, to kind of say, hey, like this is vulnerable and real, but it also has elements of the faith walk.
Right. Okay.
And so I brought that to the stage in April of 2024, doing that combo of Christian music and secular music, and it was just so amazing. And I think that we should really explore that more. I would love to, do that type of concert again, because
Okay.
I really think it bridged that gap. People who don't know Jesus could come and enjoy it. People who did know Jesus could come and enjoy it and absorb teaching from it, and
Yep.
advice and such. So yeah, I think that there shouldn't be so much segregation, I feel like, in
Mm.
music. So, yeah.
I've talked to different artists who some do just Christian music. That's fine, and I've talked to several individual artists and bands that they really believe, like you do, that combining it is a good thing, as long, and with the caveat, I guess, that don't do music that's going to turn somebody away from Jesus. But
Yeah.
yeah, which kind of goes without saying. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. So, how many of those concerts did you do? Was it the one or the or several?
Yeah, it was just one. It was
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, one at my local theater, and the whole
Yep.
town came out, and it was so great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Almost sold
That's
it out.
awesome.
So it was really awesome.
Wow. Wow. So combining instruments, I know you play guitar, and the couple ukuleles on the back wall behind you. I see a couple guitar, at least one guitar case. Oh, I think I see the headstock of another guitar there. Yep, there we go. Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah. So
So
keyboard too. I'm thinking you probably play a few instruments.
it's funny because so I played the ukulele since I was 14. I have not played the ukulele in probably 2 years because
Okay.
I picked up guitar right after the voice because I like wanted to gig and people were asking me to gig and I was like, oh my goodness, I got to get on this. I picked up the guitar and I've been playing ever since. I would say I'm pretty mid guitar player. Um,
Okay.
and
That's
I
all
do have
right.
a keyboard back there.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. I see it. Yep.
Yeah. I don't really play. I kind of just put together what sounds good to help write songs sometimes.
Yep. Yep.
But I kind of mostly have it because I'm also a voice teacher on the side. So
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
do warm-ups and such. But yeah, I'm really my main instrument is my voice. If I had the choice, I would go on stage and just sing and, not play guitar or any other instrument and just
Yeah.
focus
I
and
get you.
but
I
yeah.
get you. So when you write songs, guitar mostly, keyboard, one or
Yeah,
the other?
mostly guitar.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say your style is? Or do you have one?
Oh, that's tough. I'd say it's kind of a mix of a couple of things. Like I would say indie pop, but
Yeah.
also like my writing style is very Olivia Rodrigo, Lizzie McAlpine, um, style. Like I really like poetic lyrics. I really like that. And like
Okay.
um uh just like making analogies and metaphors within my songs. Like sometimes it's not super straightforward or it's very like I love like to write a good ballad or like indie sounding Christian song on the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I love belting. So it's just kind of
Yeah,
like
I know you do.
a little bit of everything. Um
Right, right.
and I love to bring those elements of like pop music or secular music into a Christian song.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty diverse.
Any country-ish style? Because I can hear you singing country, but I'm not thinking you want to do that.
You know what? I grew up listening to country. I love country music, but
Okay.
I mean, it would
Not
be
not
fun
really. Yeah.
eventually. But right now, it's
Yeah.
really my
Right. Right. Yeah.
path.
I think you had said that Reba was going to be would have been your first choice
Yeah,
for a coach, but then you kind of changed. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We love Reba in my house. Like we
uh huh.
watching her show, like
Yeah, yeah.
it's so like we loved her, so and we loved
I re-
her too, so
she was like really on fire back in the 80s into the 90s, and I remember really just some of those songs she put out way back then was like really yeah, when country was kind of changing a little bit. She had some great stuff.
yeah.
Um so collaboration, you when you're writing, do you like to collaborate? Do you like to write by yourself or whatever comes along?
Honestly, I haven't had a whole lot of opportunities to do a lot of collabs. Um,
Okay.
it's also really it's tough to get that together, like co-writes and stuff like that. Like I have some
Hmm.
on the horizon and I'd love to like get together with other artists and stuff. I did a
Hmm.
couple of co-writes in Nashville right after
Okay.
Voice, and that's where we wrote to my two songs that are out right now, Who Jesus Is
Oh,
right now.
okay.
Yeah, but I love writing on my own. I don't know, there's just something about it, but I'm so open to co-writes. I just haven't done a whole lot of it. So,
Okay, I'm gonna. All right, and the world is seeing this. The world is hearing this. I'm gonna give you an open invitation to either remotely or directly to come here because I would love Nate and my partner Nate Miller and I would love to write a song with you.
yes. Ah, absolutely.
Yes,
I love
we
it.
would love to do that. So, guys, if you're listening and you're watching this, please feel free to message either us or Laura or both. You know, not too far down the road. Say, hey, well, how's that song coming? Okay. All right. So we'll put that out there. Oh, okay. So I'm going to ask you this, and then we're going to talk about things that maybe you have struggled with as an artist. But I've got this question here, Laura, and I won't put it up for the camera, but I wrote it down and I circled it.
Mm.
What is, and this goes back to talking about the voice or something similar. Would you do it again?
Yes. Yes, there
Ooh,
was a time where would say no, but
okay.
I would. And really just because of like the people,
Yeah.
like it's to this day it was just like the best experience of my life, and
So winning wasn't the biggest thing, or lack of winning wasn't the biggest thing for you. It was the experience, wasn't it? And the
yeah,
people.
like
Yeah.
that was true. And like I was going through my first breakup at the time. Like I got
Mm.
broken up with 3 weeks before I left for the show. So
Mhm.
it was just such a healing time. And like I
Uh,
knew that I needed to meet these people from all across the country and
yeah.
just form these relationships. But yeah, I would do it again, and you never know. American Idol, maybe, I don't know. We'll see sometime in the future what
Hmm.
what God does. But yeah, I'm always down for those types of things. Whatever
Yeah.
God opens, I'm gonna.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that was probably, yeah. That's a great attitude to have. Well, if God opens a door, yes, I'll go through it. Yeah. I was thinking that might be kind of some kind of your response similar to that. So your attitude toward, and this is kind of a complicated question here. You can answer however you want. Your I'm going to say the word attitude for the lack. I can't think of a better word. You toward music, toward yourself, um, toward what God is, your overall view of what God is doing before the voice experience, and now after. How has it changed? And if so, how do you think it's changed?
Um, I think before The Voice, I mean, I there was still all along there has been that like I know this is God's plan for me. There's no question. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
major
Good.
question about that. Like even before The Voice, I think The Voice was kind of like a boost that I needed, like an encouragement that
Yeah. Okay.
was very much needed in that time of my life because I was at a really low point.
Yeah.
Um, and then after The Voice, um, it was kind of voice buzz, I guess I'll call it. Um,
Okay. Yeah. You're
like
on that mountaintop, boy. That
yeah,
mountaintop
like
experience. Yeah.
end of 2023 into 2024 was very much like, okay, I'm home now. Like let's like my town really rallied around me. It was so great. I started kind of gigging anywhere and everywhere from, coffee shops to restaurants to worship nights to then women's
Mm.
conferences. And I kind of built on that and started to do more like exclusive Christian stuff. And like worship nights, conferences, or concerts where we could sing Christian music and stuff. Because I mean,
Right.
I love singing cover songs, but I think that I kind of graduated from like gigging and stuff at like
Okay.
restaurants or like coffee shops. It was just kind of like what I felt like the next step was. But I did that for a long time and transitioned into that. And then 2024 was actually a really hard year for me spiritually. Um,
Mm.
because when you're in not the spotlight, but like when you have a career in ministry, I feel like it's like you're always saying things about the Lord and about Jesus and always pouring out. And
Yeah.
sometimes like you're not being poured into or you're not
Right.
letting yourself be
Yes.
poured into.
Yep.
And I think it was this time where I was like, if I would struggle to read my Bible or go to church or listen to worship music or do X, Y, and Z, it would just become like a cycle in my mind, like, oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh my gosh, I'm far
Yeah.
from the Lord. This is really a struggle. And honestly, it was a big struggle, even into this year.
Mm.
The other day, I was having a conversation with another Christian artist, and she was like, like, I totally get that. Like, I heard this analogy where a lot of people say it's your spiritual journey, and but that kind of implies that you have to get better, you have to get to some
You're
destination.
going somewhere, right?
But it's more like a garden. Like sometimes you're sitting
Mm.
in the rain and just kind of absorbing, you know, the suck. And then sometimes, there's a lot of growth in the garden and you're dancing around, but like it's all about abiding and being with Christ and kind of like coming back to that basic principle that like we're not made to do and do and do. And like, of course, works matter, but they're not like defining
Mm.
business with the Lord. They're not defining his view of you. And like I know sometimes that sounds like, oh yeah, of course I know that. But do you really? Like
Yeah. Right.
do you really believe that that's true?
Yeah.
Because I would say these things, but like it wouldn't click and I'd be like not talking to Jesus because I felt like, well, I'm already like haven't done this in X amount of time or done that. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like this year has kind of been like, okay, like let's back up for a second. And like kind of like that imposter syndrome of like, oh, I'm saying all these things to other people, but I'm not even absorbing it myself,
Mm.
In ministry, that can be a cycle, a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And so 2024, I actually released my debut single, Who Jesus Is. And I think that's kind of when it really hit me like, oh, like, I don't know. Like it was just definitely a struggle. And there was a while where it was just like, these are the motions. I'm going through the motions.
Mm.
In the fall of 2024, I kind of was like, maybe I should just tease some other demos on socials. And that's when I teased Hurts Right Now, my second song, which is like an honest conversation with God about being in a period of your life where hope is
Yeah.
shadowed. It's just like a
What a what a song.
yeah, and it was like that song is just like my favorite. That song, there was a while where I actually stopped writing because I felt like I could not write Christian music. I felt like I couldn't you know, I just didn't feel like I could do it. I didn't feel good enough. Um, but when I teased that song and it started to actually gain traction and people were like falling in love with it and telling me their stories on how this song
Mm.
touched them, it was confirmation from God that that is the writing style that He wants me to continue. That He gave me that type of writing style for a reason, and like because I felt like
Mm.
since I started this, He wanted me to talk about the unconventional things. He wanted me to talk about heartbreak and
Yep.
bring some different elements into Christian music, and that was just like really that like confirmation of God, like the kind of like that pat on the back, like come on, like this is what I want
Okay.
you to do, like don't
Yep.
shy
You're
away
doing good. Okay, this is it.
yeah, yeah, don't shy away from it anymore. Like, come on, like this is
Mm.
what I want you to do. And so then we released that in January, and this year has just been
Yeah.
crazy. God is
Yeah.
doing big things, and yeah. So there's a lot of things I'm on the cusp of right now. Like I felt in the fall
Okay.
there was a stirring in my spirit, and now it's kind of like things are coming to fruition that I've been working for almost 3 years
Yeah.
now, like my own radio promoter, my own booking agent, kind of doing
Yeah.
all the things, hours
Yeah.
every day behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. So, morphing into the next question I was going to have, but we've already addressed that a little bit, is the things that something that you really struggle with. And I think a lot of artists struggle, even if they don't realize it. Maybe we're helping them to realize it right now.
Yeah.
is it's not all about the music. It's not all about the doing and the doing and the doing. And even if we know that, like I love the way you said it, Laura. We may know that up in the head,
Mhm.
but it hasn't reached the heart yet.
Yeah.
And even the fact that we do know it, we've heard it, we've even said it,
Mhm.
we still struggle with it, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What would your advice be to somebody that's saying, "Oh yeah, I think that's me." I'm wondering, somebody's listening and saying, I'm wondering, why do I feel so depressed? I
Mhm.
just got this great song out there. I just wrote this awesome song, and now it's out there. People are saying they love it, etc., etc. It's got 14.2 gazillion downloads, but why do I feel so down?
Mhm.
What do you say?
I think I'd say two things. One, talk to somebody, like talk to the spiritual people who you feel like are your spiritual leaders in your life, people
Mm,
who you think you could confide in. Like, do not underestimate the power of speaking something out loud. Like, it literally,
yeah.
that's what that conversation I had literally like 2 days ago, where I heard
Yeah.
that analogy of the garden was like, I needed that so bad. Like, it just, such a weight lifted off of me. Like,
Mm,
I know it sounds cliche, but talking
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, I think God sometimes allows, I mean, well, I know He allows seasons where, we have success, but we are in deep struggle, so that we realize
Hmm.
that the success is not what's going to sustain us. Success
Right.
doesn't sustain us. He sustains us. So
Mm.
it's all about kind of, and I've learned that the hard way,
Yep.
definitely. Like
Okay.
that, being being before him is way more important than the gifts and the talents and the success. And all of it is kind of fruitless without him. Um,
Mm.
and so just kind of being like, okay, maybe I need to maybe I need to just, and he's not condemning like any of those things. Like, just
Right.
ask the Lord, like, hey, check my heart. Like, why do I,
Hmm.
why is this happening? And sometimes you just need to sit in the rain for a little bit. Sometimes that's the season that the garden is in. You just got to sit in the rain for a little bit. And one day you'll see why you had to sit in that rain for a little bit, because he could be, sometimes we ask God to fortify us, but,
Hmm.
um, and then he brings those experiences that fortify us instead of just,
Mm.
here you go, you're fortified.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
So yeah, that's what.
Sometimes things have to get a little, if we're not willing to let go, at least even for an hour or so, sometimes longer than that, God may, take that thing out of our hands just for a little bit.
Yeah.
You talked earlier about surrendering. Okay, Lord. And I guess our advice maybe to you, if you're listening, you're feeling kind of down, kind of confused. Sometimes you just need to give it back to God for a little bit. Remember, it's not about the music. It's not about what you do for Him. It's about being with Him, that relationship. And remember who you're doing it. Remember the why, guys. Remember why you're doing it. Because when you forget that, and it's easy to forget it, I've done it
Yeah,
myself.
me
It's
too.
easy to forget why you're doing it. That's when things start to take a turn. Anyway, yeah, Laura, you've got some wisdom here that really, really appreciate you sharing this. And I know it's going to be a blessing, encouragement to a lot of people. So, what's coming up next? First, let's let people know where they can reach you, because, guys, I know that Laura would love to hear from you. If you got a question
Yeah.
about anything that we've been talking about, you want to share something with her, as she just said, it's good to talk about it, and I know she'd be more than willing to talk, right, Laura?
Absolutely.
So let people know how to get a hold of you, and let's also talk about, you've got some things on your website coming up that you've got planned. So let's talk about those a little bit before we get done here.
Yeah. So I'm most active on Instagram, honestly. The Laura Williams.
Instagram, okay.
Yeah. And I got TikTok. I even got Snapchat Spotlight, like
Ooh,
Facebook. You can find me anywhere really. YouTube. I'm, doing it all like these
yeah.
artists do. But coming up for me, yeah, it's I have some really, really cool meetings and
Mm-hmm.
coming up that I'm excited to see how God moves through them. But I have some awesome shows coming up as well. Next month, April 27th, I am opening for Josh Lovelace from Need to Breathe. Lovelance. I keep wanting to say Lovelance for some reason.
Okay, Loveless. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Loveless. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Yeah,
I've heard it both ways.
You're probably right. From Need to Breathe on April 27th at the Sellersville Theater in Pennsylvania. That's actually the same theater I had my concert at.
Very cool.
So very cool. And then in May, I am going to be at Knoebels Amusement Park in Pennsylvania with WGRC. It's a radio station here.
Yep.
And I'm pre-headlining for Hannah Carr. So she's the headliner, which is really cool. And some other things are in the works that might be announced very soon also.
Okay.
That month, I'm waiting to hear this week, and I might have a lot more shows to share, God willing. But
so where should people keep tuning in? Well,
sorry.
It'll be all on all of your socials, right?
All my socials, my website. I'm also going to be at Soulfest this year in August. That's in Massachusetts. And some other things here and there. I'm still waiting to confirm on, but yeah. So
okay, all right, lots of stuff going on. So your website is Laura Williams Official.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
LauraWilliamsOfficial.com. And that's how they would search for you on the other sites as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There's a little bit of everything on there.
Okay.
My socials and stuff. It definitely needs some updating for sure. I'm gonna go on and update that. But
we talk about that a lot here, guys. If you got a website and it's you haven't touched it in 6 months, you're better off not having one, right? But it's so hard to keep updated, isn't it, Laura?
Yeah.
It's like a daily thing.
Yeah, I'm not even. It's updated, but I mean, like, the aesthetic. I feel like it needs a better aesthetic, you know?
Okay. Alrighty.
But it is there, and it is updated with, my songs, my socials, some of my tweets. So, yeah.
So we got 2 songs, Hurts Right Now, and what was the other one?
Who Jesus Is.
Who Jesus Is. Okay, you're going to hear both of those songs, of course, on Notespire Radio. Guys, I want to remind you that, of course, you may be hearing this interview right now, the audio portion, on Notespire Radio, WNSMDB, where we broadcast this podcast, The Artist Insight. We broadcast this on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And you may be hearing it on there right now. And if that's the case and you'd like to hear it again or see it, I want you to make sure that you go to Laura Williams, find her on social, and I'm sure, Laura, you'll be posting this somewhere, and also on our YouTube channel, which is Notespire Music TV, and you can see you can see this whole interview and see our smiling faces. Yeah. So it's cool. So get a hold of us at info@notespiremusic.com. If you got any questions, our website, of course, notespiremusic.com. Listen to Notespire Radio at notespireradio.com. We would love to hear from you, and Laura would love to hear from you as well. So any final thoughts for the viewers, listeners, Laura?
I almost forgot. I'm not sure how close Erie is to York, but I'm going to be at WCTL's Women's Conference next weekend, singing and such there. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to be, Massachusetts isn't that close, but I'm going to be in Massachusetts and Connecticut with Aspire Women's Tour, their spring tour, singing with them as well. So I forgot about those ones are
so cool
than the rest. So
cool. Guys, you got it. Please make sure you find Laura on social media, because she's got a lot going on, a lot coming up. And Laura, I'm going to ask you one final question, and I think, because there's somebody out there, I'm thinking that somebody might be thinking, well, sure, she's doing all of that because she was on The Voice.
Oh.
Not true, right? Not true at all.
No. What I'd be doing right now, even if The Voice didn't happen, I'd be still doing what I'm doing right now.
Exactly. Guys, I don't want, if there's somebody out there that's thinking what I'm thinking you're thinking, don't think it, because it's not true. And I love that, Laura. The voice was a great thing for you. It was a mountaintop experience, but it's not the defining thing for you. It's your relationship with God and the music that He's given you.
Absolutely. Amen.
Amen. Laura, thank you so much. This has been fun. And let's do it again sometime. Make sure now. Remember, I'm going to be getting a hold of you, and we're gonna write a song together.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Awesome.
Okay. All right, Laura. Thank you very much. God bless you. Best of everything with what's coming up, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Notespire Radio Artist Insight. We hope you've enjoyed the program today, and join us next time when we again bring you a unique look into the lives, music, and ministries of Christian artists here on Notespire Radio Artist Insight.